Hi again. So this week we talked about things such as taboo topics and censorship. These are the things that we might be uncomfortable talking about and teaching, but I feel like they're really important to adolescents because these are real issues and one day or another, adolescents are going to have to face these issues. So I personally feel that it's better to educate them now so that they're aware and educated. And, it's our job to teach them and prepare them for the real world. So I feel like it's very important that they read about these issues, and adolescent literature is the perfect way to do that. Another thing I found in one of the articles, which I thought was important, was more specifically, I asked the teacher candidates to take responsibility for their active interpretations of the author's words, to acknowledge that their readings would not necessarily or automatically match those of the author or other readers. It just shows that we all interpret things differently, and that's okay. It might not be what the reader or the author originally intended, but I feel that that's fine. All of our lives are different, and we all take different meaning to different things, and we all have different background knowledge. So what we interpret from the thing might be different than what our peers interpret, and I feel that's fine. And I think it's important that we all have different views, and I just feel like it's okay for us to all interpret it differently. Um, so for the three books that we had to read and the movie, I'll go over my first one, and it's The Weight in Our Feathers by Anna Marie McLemore. This is the story of two families, and these two families are rivals of each other. They cannot stand each other. And there's two outcasts in the families, and they've been told for since they were born that do not socialize with this other family. They are evil. They will try to kill you. Just don't, you can't associate with them or you will be banned from the family. Well, these two outcasts uniquely get brought together. One of them ends up saving the other. So they get brought together and they fall in love in their own way. And the families obviously aren't okay with this, but it doesn't bother them. They have each other, and that's all that really matters to them. So a few quotes that I took from this book were, "He who wants to be young when he is old must be old when he is young." When I read that, it just made me stop and think for a minute and really reflect on that. And then this other one, "Lace couldn't hear what they were whispering, but now they were all witnesses to this thing she and Cluck had made them see. They would have to carry the truth, whether or not they spoke it. It would cling to them like the burrs of sticker grass. If they twisted it, it would pinch them back." So just the fact at the end of the story when they found out that the families that those two were together, it is what it is, and they have to deal with it because the two of them were not going to change. So the book was okay. I didn't get really too into it, but it was okay. The next book I had was Hatchet by Gary Paulson. I read this book actually in middle school, so it was nice to read it again because I picked up a lot more things than I did obviously when I was in middle school. And this is the story about Brian, and he's having a really difficult time right now because his parents are getting a divorce. That's one of the taboo topics, divorce. So, and it's difficult. Like, it's difficult for Brian right now, and he kind of knows a secret about it, about why he thinks the divorce is happening. But anyhow, in this book, he's going to visit his dad, and so he has to take an airplane there. Well, the airplane ends up crashing, and so he is the only survivor. And he's out there all alone trying to survive in the woods, and he really has to grow as a person to survive and make it through while he's alone in the wilderness. And let's see, a few quotes. "No, wait, one other thing. Those were all the things he had, but he also had himself. Perpich used to drum that into him. You are the most valuable asset. Don't forget that. You are the best thing you have. So when he was dropped there, what is he going to do? He's all alone. He has no supplies. What's going to happen? And him thinking, well, at least he's alive and he is the most valuable asset. He'll be able to figure it out. Another one is, I am not the same, he thought. I see, I hear differently. He did not know when the change started, but it was there. When a sound came to him now, he didn't just hear it, but would know the sound. He would swing and look at it, a breaking twig, a movement of air, and know the sound as if he somehow could move his mind back down the wave of sound to the source. So through this experience, he's changed and grown a lot. He never would have thought the same way. He would have never been able to hear those sounds and know. He grew completely as a person through this story. In measured time, 47 days had passed since the crash. 42 days, he thought, since he had died and been born as the new Brian. He was just a completely new person. So this was I enjoyed this book. I read it in middle school, and I know I enjoyed it then, and I enjoy it just the same now. The last book that I read, this one was my favorite out of the 3 this week, and it was Speak by Laurie Halse Anderson. This book is about a girl named Melinda, and she's heading off to high school. And unfortunately, she's an outcast. Something happened over the summer at a party, and she ended up calling the cops. And so everybody hated her because the cops came and broke up the party. And so she went into high school alone. Her friends before, nobody liked her. Everybody couldn't stand her. Finally, Melinda, in the end, she finally speaks and tells her truth and kind of sets herself free. This was a really great story, and it covers actually another one of the taboo topics. I don't want to give too much because I don't want to give it away, but it does cover one of the taboo topics. A few quotes I'll read. Older students are allowed to roam until the bell, but 9th graders are herded into the auditorium. We fall into clans: jocks, country clubbers, idiot savants, cheerleaders, human waste, Euro trash, future faces of America, big hair chicks, the Marthas, suffering artists, thespians, goths, shredders. I am clanless. So, just thinking back to high school and all the cliques and everything. Let's see. I have another one. Mr. Freeman, you are getting better at this, but it's not good enough. This looks like a tree, but it is an average, ordinary, everyday, boring tree. Breathe life into it. Make it bend. Trees are flexible, so they don't snap. Scar it. Give it a twisted branch. Perfect trees don't exist. Nothing is perfect. Flaws are interesting. Be the tree. So she had an art project, and she thought it was stupid all along, but she realized that she was the tree, and she could relate that art project to her life all along. So it was really interesting. But this was by far my favorite book out of the group this week. I really like this book, and I suggest it to anybody that wants to read it. And then last, I had the movie, The Perks of Being a Wallflower. And something that I took from this movie was, they mentioned it quite a few times, we accept the love we think we deserve. And I feel like that's really true. I feel we never give ourselves enough credit. We are the toughest critic on our own selves. So we kind of settle for what we think we deserve instead of realizing that, we deserve much more than we ever really give ourselves credit for. And I think that's important. It's kind of a tough thing for us to realize. But those were my books this week, and that was the movie. Thank you.